Good morning. Today we're going to take a look at the XRP price action, along with some dominance check-ins, some market cap XRP, along with the Sigma coin. So starting here with we have two different scenarios, right? We're running the trend line triangle scenario here, and we are also running our ABC correction with a larger pull down to the downside here for a final fifth wave, okay? And so I was looking through some of the data and went back to some of the older videos and noted that I had yet to talk about the market cap chart. So we're going to look into that here and see what we can find. So here's the triangle scenario. Here's this trend line. And when we zoom in on the, so there's the trend line. So when we zoom in on the super close time frames, we see that we actually have this trend line really being worked to hell, being hold. So we've got the wicks below, the back up, the wicks below, the back up, came above, found the first resistance point right here at the fib, which was our liquidity area that we figured we were going to have some rejections from for XRP, and sure enough we did. And now we're right back to this trend line. So alternatively, if we go into our scenario where we have the falling wedge, this could be a middle ground before an impulse higher still to that wedge, and then we can still roll over and come into that final fifth wave to the downside for this larger ABC move that we're working to identify, and having been thinking that that was kind of where we were going to end up with getting this lower low that was going to set in, and then we would be all done. So this ABC correction is still kind of in play with a potential rollover now, and we just got a truncated fourth, and then we just end up going straight down to the lower side, or we still have one more bit of upside that we have to go to, and then we can roll over and finally finish. So so now some interesting things that I wanted to point out here. Let's go back and look at what led to us thinking we were going to short XRP to begin with. Was right here in this price action. So after we rejected our continuation move, because initially we had our the ABC down, and then we had our ABC up, but at this point in time we were expecting it to break out and set a new higher high, but it did not. It broke down quickly and bounced and set a higher low, right? So this higher low right here that we were looking at is what we were gauging as being the potential for this to continue again and hold and do a larger structure, but end up rolling over again. And we actually shorted this right here in the 311 to 315 range. So we actually took the short, and we were paid off through this move to the downside. How did we know that? Well, the way we got there is we went to our XRP dominance market cap chart. Okay, in this same area, we actually ended up doing a 5-wave move down, and a lower low was set right here on this part. So we actually didn't do the higher low. We ended up doing the lower low for this correction. So let me move it here so you can see there's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves to the downside. And that move ultimately told us that we were in fact breaking to the downside rather than having an upside behavior, and that's why when we shorted we were able to take advantage of this entire breakdown right here before everything happened. So now looking at this, I want to bring your attention to our current price action right here, and this is what's really intriguing. So here's our low, and if you note, we had, just to recap, our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves to the downside, ABC up. Now we were expecting another 5-wave move to the downside, and we ended up getting this impulsive explosive move. Well, that was our wave 4. Now we've done a 5, 3, and a 5 again, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we've done an ABC up, and this final leg is expected to pull down and go below this level over here for the market cap, ultimately giving us the situation where this is in fact a larger ABC correction on the market cap chart, which then would be the second scenario that we've been talking about, where we would actually have this ABC play out, and we would set one more low below this level of supply. So if we hit down to this the 786, I could see us easily rolling over, completing this last portion of the wedge, and getting us down into this like 268 range, maybe even higher, and get front ran, so to speak. Well, why is there such discrepancy between the price action that we're looking at and this market cap chart? Well, the reason is because this takes out the dollar, and the dollar is being very, very squirrely all over the place, and the dollar's behavior has been up, down, extreme with extreme volatility. So you can see how much the manipulation has occurred. So if the dollar was actually able to push up and put a higher level here, or at least some strength, that could be a scenario where we see the XRP price fall quickly, or if the dollar weakens and rolls over on this possible final corrective move to the downside, and this was just an ABC, we actually could, if the dollar weakens, that's what I think we're actually doing now that I look at this. So we've got our dollar weakening, so we've got an ABC move to the upside, and then the dollar is actually rolling over for one more move to the downside, and these work in inverse. So if this rolls over and we end up closing these final gaps down here, then that would actually mean that the weakness of the dollar would artificially keep the XRP price higher and thus keep us within this wedge move that we're doing right here and being able to maintain the trend line that we've been holding above since. So basically, if we see on the market, so let's recap this craziness. So if we see the market cap chart roll over and break down, but at the same time the USD chart just stays right where it's at, then we know that that's the completion of the move and we're ready to move to the upside, because the dollar manipulation is causing the warped perspective of this chart. And by removing the dollar, we end up having a much more clear 5-3-5 correction for an ABC of the larger degree. And this was just a large out of control wave 4 that came right up and tagged the level of a wave 1, but didn't cross it, at least per this time interval of 1 hour. So, all right, so that's basically the trickery that's associated with it. A lot of these markets, and causing a lot of people to have trouble, is the dollar manipulation and how these charts end up looking. So now in that same scenario, we have the Sigma coin, right? So Sigma's still showing us that we potentially are close to the end of the completion and may be doing just fine. I want to see, of course, this level right here hold with a higher low. There was a gap in demand and supply right over here that ultimately resulted in this now chop right through this region. So there's that gap that was wanting to be closed. Well, apparently all gaps get closed. So if you see some big buys come in, those are too big, right? They always get eaten, and that gap ended up going back up again, and now we've come all the way down and starting to fill the volume in that profile. And you can check this with our volume profile tool, where you click over and you do the fixed range, and then you just select it, move it over, let's just say right here, and you can see that we had the volume gap right there. Now we come all the way over to this point and it's gone. So we've now filled that volume, and there's now a ton of buyers stepping in, filling that area there. And so that is ultimately the tell that we're going to see again this area now hopefully be a pivot point, because people, if you wanted it down here before and you missed your chance and you were like, oh no, that's not cool, I didn't get Sigma at that price. Well, now you can come over here and guess where you are? You're right back to it, and the gap is actually now above. So here's that gap too quickly up and too quickly down. So we now have a majority of holders. Hopefully, DCAing comes in at this level, but that shows that this area was now filled, and we can come back easily into this gap and start following along more of our grind out of here, as XRP itself could start grinding with a trickery in the market cap, setting one more low over here to complete that ABC. So one more thing just to point out, there's the 5 waves there, ABC, 5 waves there, ABC, and then this will be one more 5th, probably down to this level, just to close everything out, and we go onward. So hopefully that was helpful, but this is in my opinion, the real chart. And so it is an ABC, but it's not going to look like an ABC potentially here on the USD pairing. My goodness, what a weird world we live in. All right, thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.